Welcome to Subramani. Again, my topic today is generational wealth. I'm going to talk about the problems of generational wealth. I spoke about how generational wealth is created, how it can be created, should be created, what are the problems, and today I'm going to talk about, I also talked about how the generational wealth can be destroyed with disputes, etc. Today I'm going to talk about the problems of generational wealth. The first and the most important problem is when income is very high for the family, the children may tend to get a little lazy. Not all of them will be very well driven, right, to grow and do something. They may just not be interested in wealth at all, so they may neglect the wealth. That is one possibility. Or they may lack work ethic, or that is what the previous generation can feel. Now, if you are a very successful doctor, and you have a son who does not want to be a doctor, he wants to go on treks and rides and travel the world, etc., or maybe get into philosophy, get into education, or maybe become a saint or that sort, get into religion or things like that, or social service. It is not something which the parents like. So parents who are very well driven towards earning money and accumulating money, maybe without any purpose, like purposeless compounding, if they have been doing with their wealth for whatever reason, by the time they are 60, 65, they realize that their children or their child is not interested in this pursuit. He is interested in pursuing something else, completely different, not making much money, but saying, look, dad, this is enough for me, I want to do this. Very difficult for the previous generation which has created the wealth, at least partially. Maybe you got 2 crores from your father and you created another 25 crores out of it. Now your son, who is going to inherit this 27 crores, says, I don't want to get married, I want to do some philosophical work, I want to do social work, etc. Which is what must have happened to people like Siddhartha, Buddha and all that, right? Their families, imagine the impact on their families. They would have said, oh, this is a kingdom yet you're giving up. Well, he is Buddha to the world, but to his parents and his wife and his son, he was not a great role model, right? So something like that could happen. And this I'm saying very positively. I'm not even saying negatively. Somebody is saying, it's okay, I got enough dividend income, I got enough interest income. Why should I take up so much of hard work? I'm happy working 9 to 5. I'll come home and have some time with my family. That's something which the earlier generation didn't do, and they think it is wrong to have leisure. So there is conflict of views between father and son about saying, oh, I'm going to give you so much money, therefore you are doing this. The other way to look at it is, if Birlas had not, if Kumar Mangalam Birla had not inherited so much money in terms of shares and other wealth, he would never have been able to write off 30,000 crores in the telecom business, or maybe some more in the retail business. I do not know how much he wrote off in the retail business. But things like that can happen. Your children can take on bigger projects only because it is they have family wealth. But yes, there is this problem that they may become complacent, or they may behave in a way very different from what you thought they will behave, right? There is also a problem that when you are that rich, when say you are extremely rich, then chances are you may not get good friends. You may get friends who are way richer than you or not as rich as you, and you do not know how much of that friendship is because of the money that you are spending with them. I know one man who is now perhaps in his 80s, who has created a lot of wealth for himself in the US, who comes to India and takes all his classmates on a vacation. It's not a very lavish vacation, but he organizes tickets. I think people pay for the tickets. He organizes for the stay and all that for 3 days for all his classmates, and they have fun, right? So whether to spend on such things is something which you have to take into account, or you say, no, my children don't need my money, so I'll spend it. The other way to look at it is to say, okay, I will not do any spending. Now, when you don't do any spending and your children spend, you think, oh my God, they're being extravagant. 5,000 rupees for a shoe? I never bought one, right? So if you get into these kind of thinking, that's again a problem, because the earlier generation thinks spending is wrong, and the younger generation thinks, if I have money and I don't spend, for whom do I have it at all, right? So how much they should spend, what they should spend, and because of which can they get into genuine relationships. Let's I'm not getting political, but just imagine the the childhood which Rahul Gandhi or a Priyanka Gandhi would have had, right? The badminton player with whom, the person with whom he was playing badminton every day, killed his grandmother, and he was taken off to jail. So one day he lost his grandmother and his friend. That's what happened to Rahul Gandhi. Then he went into private tuition. No social interaction. Now some of these things can genuinely happen to people with a lot of wealth. You could be protected by bodyguards, etc. So not allowed simple normal interaction, right? You may not be allowed to go to a shop simply because they fear for your life. They fear that you will be kidnapped. So you will have a bodyguard, you will have a driver wherever you go. That may not be the best way to make friends, right? So making friends, developing genuine relationships could definitely be a problem for them. Then the question of younger children who have inherited wealth do not know how much of wealth has to be flaunted, how much should not be flaunted, how much is necessary to keep up image, right? Do you need to keep up an image at all, or you to say no, I now don't have money and I won't spend, right? So not knowing how much to spend to show off, how much not to spend, these are not things which can be taught. The earlier generation which created the wealth knew what they should do, the next generation doesn't know. So there is going to be sort of I mean there is going to be a problem. I was approached by a rich family to teach basics of economics, etc., which means how to read the newspaper, how to interpret, what to do for their children. So some of these things can be taught, some of these things they see from how their parents behave, right? So not knowing what is natural and what they are copying is again a problem. This is not really a problem in the sense that but there is inequality being created to such a great extent that some of these kids might rebel and suddenly turn to socialism and say, oh, all this wealth should not be there, there should be no inheritance at all, there should be a 40% inheritance tax. They turn completely and go to the other side, and that is one possibility, which can create problems for the other members of the family, saying, should we cut him off, should we not cut her off, cut her off, whatever. So those are some of the philosophical issues which could happen. Then which means that guy might say that we have to give away all the money, or question some of the practices. So these kind of things, I have seen this happening. I am not saying it will happen in every house, nor am I saying every house will create this kind of wealth. But yes, this wealth can become a source of family conflict, because if there is no money, I mean, I can say very proudly that my parents, mother's side, father's side, they never had any financial dispute because there is no finance. When there is finance, there is possibility of financial dispute. So these are the downsides of having intergenerational wealth. Thank you.